to see what it's like to build a $300 gaming PC in 2026.
Bro, I don't think that's a good idea.
Why do you say that, bro?
Well, I mean, have you seen the prices lately? Like last year, a $300 custom PC was awesome, but that's like impossible now.
Don't worry, I have a plan.
I can't watch this.
What you want to do is go to eBay and find an office PC that has at least an 8th gen i5 processor, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and an SSD. Now, in a perfect world, we would love for this to have a mid-tower case. So you can put MT at the end of the search to look for mid-tower cases. I'm gonna be honest, most of these are extremely high priced. You have to be careful as well because some people like to hide just i5 in the title and not tell you what it is, and you have to scroll down to the description, find out that it's just an i5 6th generation, which is not as powerful. Which leads us to the reason why we want an 8th gen processor. That's because 8th gen processors allow you to run Windows 11, and they also give you the ability to put TPM Secure Boot turned on, which will allow you to play some multiplayer games that you otherwise couldn't play. Now, in order for this budget to work, we don't want to spend more than $150 on the PC itself. Really, you want less than that, but if you put $150 in the search criteria, you'll be able to find some PCs that you can at least make an offer on. Already, I see a few with an i3 8th gen, which is not really powerful enough for gaming. Here we have a good contender at $116, but unfortunately, it is a small form factor, which we don't want to get unless we absolutely have to. Another thing you have to be somewhat careful of, depending on your budget, is shipping costs. Some of these people hide pretty high shipping costs behind these office PCs. For instance, this one is $150, and it does have a 10th gen i3, which is about the same performance-wise, maybe slightly less powerful than the i5, but it's got everything else we want, but the shipping is $36. Now, if shipping is not a big deal for you in your budget, feel free to get this and throw in a good graphics card and go from there. We need to go a little bit lower, so what we're gonna do is keep looking. And with some patience and some deal hunting, you can find a PC just like this one. This is an OptiPlex 3060, 8th gen i5, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and a 250 gigabyte SSD. Now, obviously, that's not gonna be a ton of games, but you're dealing with a limited budget. This one was originally listed at $135, but I sent an offer of only like 80 or 90 and they countered, and I picked this thing up for only $95, which with the shipping only puts us at like 120, so we're doing pretty good. But we still need to find a graphics card. Since we couldn't find a mid-tower office PC, we're limited to what we can use, but whether you use a mid-tower PC case or not, you're still gonna want this GPU specifically, and that's the RTX 3050. They have a low profile version, which you can find on Amazon for around $230, but if you're patient with some deal hunting on eBay, sometimes you can get it as low as $200 or even like $180. I actually picked mine up on Amazon for only $220, which puts us slightly over the $300 budget. Only other option, if you don't want to do that, is something like an RX 6400 low profile, which is going to get significantly less performance. But now that we got it ordered, let's show you how to put it together and see what the performance looks like. Now that everything's here, let's see if we got what we paid for and show you how to throw it all together. First, we'll start with the Office PC. And the Office PC has two screws here that you'll need to unscrew to take off the side panel, and it just pops right off. Now your CPU is under here. If you would like to, you can buy some thermal paste to repaste it, but since it's 8th gen, it'll probably be okay, but we'll look at the temperatures when we test it here in just a minute. Now, in order to get to the RAM and the SSD, you're gonna have to remove this casing here. And to do that, sometimes on these OptiPlexes or these Dell PCs, you're gonna have to pop off this front cover. And you can kind of gently do that by popping off these little levers here, and it should just gently pop off. Then you can easily raise and take this out, which your DVD player is also attached here. Now, luckily for us, and this actually is a good thing for you guys too, with these older 8th gen OptiPlex type PCs, sometimes it will have an NVMe type SSD. So if you wanted to take the screwdriver out here, we can look at this and see. And now this is a SATA NVMe. So like the speeds on this are gonna be about the same as the 2.5-inch SSDs. However, it's still going to be pretty nice, and we still have room to put in another SSD if we need more storage later on. And of course, we have our 2 sticks of RAM, which should be 8 gigs of DDR4, which it does check out, and that's what we got. But now for the super fun part, and that's to put in our graphics card, which now that I'm seeing this PC, I'm a little worried that the graphics card is not going to fit in here. But the GPU we have is the RTX 3050 low profile version. Theoretically, this should fit in this type of PC, but we are gonna have to do some work. First of all, we are gonna have to put this small form factor bracket on it, because when you look at this really small graphics card, you can see that this bracket sticks out way farther than the GPU does. That's because this is a full-size bracket on a smaller GPU. And if I line this up, this one is significantly shorter, which is what we need for a smaller type office PC. But before we go through all that trouble, let's see if this graphics card will even fit inside the PCIe slot. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this and flip it out. We're gonna put the GPU in the slot and see if it will work. So the GPU will technically fit right here because it is a 2-slot card, but because the PCIe slot is lower than this other slot where you would put like a, I don't know, like a Wi-Fi card or something right here, it doesn't fit. Like the slot doesn't line up, and it doesn't matter, you know, how low we push it. It doesn't look like we're gonna be able to make that fit. I mean, I don't think it'll work if we switch this out, but we're gonna try it and see. So to switch out the bracket here, there are 2 screws. Hopefully we can see those. There's one right here, and there's one just kind of like under the shroud right here, which is pretty annoying because we can't get to it unless we take this shroud off. So to take the shroud off, there are 2 screws on each side that we have to remove. Just be really careful because since they are so small, it might take a lot of force to strip them. So make sure you get the right size screwdriver head. Now, once you have all those screws taken off, you should just be able to slide off this plate. You don't have to unplug any cords because then we can easily get to the 2 screws that are here and here. There's also one more screw right here in the middle that you're also gonna have to unscrew. Now, once you have all of those removed, this bracket here should just completely fall off. Now, before we put the other bracket on, we're gonna see if, since we don't have that bracket on now, if it will actually fit inside the slot. All the way flat against the power supply, and it still will not fit. So unfortunately, GPU just won't work. So only option we have is to find a single slot GPU put in this card. Okay, so let's talk about ways we can prevent this from happening to you guys. Again, going back to eBay, when we look for the Office PC, we're still gonna do the same search that we always did. Obviously, the best thing to do would be to get a mid-tower case like we mentioned earlier in the video. But that's not always practical. When you're looking for PCs on eBay, see if there's an actual picture of the case opened up. That could also help you out along the way for this particular situation, okay? They won't always have that available, but it's possible that it could help you out. The other thing that you could do is take the name of the actual PC. This is a random listing that I just had here. This is the HP ProDesk 600 G4 SFF. What we're gonna do is we're gonna ask ChatGPT, all right, if this particular PC, can it fit a low profile 2-slot GPU? Now, when you go through and look at this, it may not be exactly the way that we want, but we're gonna ask it, can you show me a picture of the inside? So here it shows me a picture of the inside of this particular small form factor GPU, or small form factor case. This particular case though looks like, you see how there's extra space right here below the power supply? That means that this one is a mid-tower case, so that's not our scenario that we're looking for. But this one here appears to be what we are looking for. So you again see our problem here. The PCIe slot is closer to the power supply than it is the CPU. So that means, again, we're not gonna be able to fit anything in that one. So again, you can keep looking. And I mean, here we have an HP Pavilion for 140. We could get that to build a nice little PC. Again, here's another small form factor around 150. So these are super easy to find. However, finding one where the clearance is going to be enough for this GPU is going to be the challenge. So then I asked ChatGPT, what are the best Office PCs that I can look for that will fit the RTX 3050 that we have? Now I asked ChatGPT which Office PCs would be best, but I need to specify, I need Office PCs that only have 8th gen i5 CPUs. Okay, so the first one is the Dell OptiPlex 760. So we actually got a Dell OptiPlex 3060, so we're gonna look for the 760 small form factor. This one actually has an i5 9th gen that can get an SSD, but this one's only got 8 gigs of RAM, 8 gigs of RAM. Here's one with 16 gigabytes of RAM, but the shipping makes it a little bit more expensive. It looks like these are significantly harder to find in 16 gigabytes of RAM. So after looking for a little while, the Dell OptiPlex 760 is extremely difficult to find in 16 gigabytes of RAM in our price range. So let's go look at the 5060 small form factor and see what that one offers us. And don't ask me why they have all these same things with, you know, it just doesn't make sense. All right, again, it kind of gives us the same thing. If we switch our settings to 16 gigabytes of RAM, we're getting a lot of similar things. Now this one is a very tempting option here. It's got an i5 8500 with 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it, again though, we're gonna run into the same issue with it not being able to hold the graphics card. Okay, the HP Elite 800 GF would be a great small form factor PC for us to look for. This particular one only has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it does not have an SSD, but it does, you know, have what we need as far as being able to play games and stuff other than the SSD, and it's only $90, so you could make that work, although it is not ideal in this particular economy. So you could keep looking. Again, mid-tower cases are your friend, but like this one has everything but only 8 gigabytes of RAM, and we've already established, since it has these 4 PCIe slots here, it is something that we could use to very easily fit in our 3050. So now, if you're stuck in this situation, it's probably gonna be easier to return the graphics card than it is to return the Office PC, depending on how quick you try to put these together. So you can also look for single slot, low profile GPUs. And so there's several options that we can have here. Obviously, Quadro cards are an okay option for us, but the probably best overall option is gonna be something like the RX 6400. Looks like somebody modded a 3060 to be a low profile card, but I mean, it's $500. That's more than what we want to spend for the whole thing. And so with some searching, you could find something that was decent. All right, so after doing research, again, you guys could just make sure that you buy a miniature or small form factor PC that will actually have a PCIe slot where you could fit the 3050 in there. But I did a lot of research. It looks like I got 3 options that we could possibly go with. This one is a small form factor 3050. It is from Maxsun. The problem is it does stretch us about $70 to $80 over the budget. But the reason I picked it up is so that I can show you benchmarks of what it would look like if you bought a better Office PC than what I did to start with. The other 2 options are less powerful. Starting with this one, this is the Intel Arc A310. Now this particular card is pretty weak. A lot of people do not like it, like at all. Rightfully so. I mean, this is not the best situation for graphics cards from Intel. It wasn't really meant for gaming, I don't believe. Maybe it is. It says gaming optimized on the back, but who knows. But anyway, what we're gonna try to do here with this graphics card is just show you an option for it. It comes in at a pretty decent price, and it does come with the ability for us. It should fit in here just fine. But the other option is what I have in this box. And that's this bad boy right here. This is the RX 6400 low profile. It's only got 4 gigabytes of VRAM. It used to be like super duper popular. I think it's technically a Gen 4 card. I don't think we have a Gen 4 slot on this particular PC. At least I don't think so. We might, I don't know. I didn't check. You can roast me in the comments. but it does already have the low profile bracket on it. You can pick these up and it completely fits inside the budget, and you can pretty much play any game, especially esports. But we'll really put it to the test and stack it up to see if this is extra $70 for the 6GB 3050 is worth it compared to the A310 with this card. Now, to install these, it's gonna be pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but you are going to flip this open, line up your PCIe slot here with the slot on the motherboard, okay? Then you have these little brackets here that are going to have to come out on the side, and they are made of metal, so you just have to like wiggle it back and forth until it pops out, okay? And then what you will do is you'll just pop it into place like so, and then you'll throw it down. Then all you have to do is install drivers and games, and you should be able to play. So let's see what the performance is like for all three of these cards.
Also, FYI, all these graphics cards had to be installed with a small form factor bracket, which pretty much installs the same way as the one we showed you earlier.
So just a quick rundown of the prices. If you got the original plan to work and you bought a PC that actually worked with this card, you would spend around $320 to $340-ish, depending on the deals and if you want to count shipping or not. And the second one is the Intel Arc A310. This one is around $140. So if you were to pick this up, that would put your total at around $250 to $270. Then you have the most expensive option, which is the Maxsun RTX 3050. It is a single slot 3050, but it definitely packs a premium price for sure. And then last but not least, which is probably the best price option, is the RX 6400. I paid around $171 for this one on eBay, so that put my total at around $295, not counting taxes, because again, everybody's taxes are different. So this one makes you standard budget, but which one of these is actually going to be worth it? Again, we couldn't test this one, but we tested the other three. Starting with the most demanding game in Cyberpunk 2077, the RTX 3050 clears everybody in this type of game. If you're wanting to run story mode AAA games, the RTX 3050 is probably one you're gonna look for. It was around 70-ish FPS, with the RX 6400 only pulling around 42 to 43 FPS, and the A310 was just abysmal. It couldn't even hit 30. Moving on to a slightly less demanding game, which is Warzone. Still pretty demanding, but it is a little bit less. The A310 couldn't hold up. Not even 30 FPS unless we turned on like upscaling and frame generation. It was just, you could barely move. But both the RTX 3050 and the RX 6400 got us around 70 to 80 FPS, so that was super playable. And that's without any upscaling on the lowest settings at 100% render resolution. But then we moved on to everybody's favorite game, which is Fortnite. The Intel Arc A310 actually did okay in this game, only getting around 110 to 120 FPS. So it hung in there. But again, these two GPUs were absolutely the best. They were around a really solid 160-ish FPS most of the time. Sometimes it would drop a little lower than that when building, but 1% lows and smoothness was definitely there. We also tested a game like Valorant, which actually ran the same on all the GPUs. It was anywhere from 150 to 200 FPS depending on when abilities were going around and whatnot. But if you're gonna play a game like that, you're probably not gonna wanna spend this much money. So you could go check out a PC that is cheaper than all of these graphics cards right here.